to be like, hello, angels, this is Bosley. I am I'm using the black screen for two reasons. One, it is evening here, and there's just not much use in shining the light on my beautiful face. And two, because I am feeling more called. Actually, Maverick gave me the vocabulary earlier in one of her wonderful videos. I recommend you check her out if you get the chance. About like Spirit really wants us to tune into our hearing and not just 3D hearing, 5D hearing, 4D hearing, all the hearing, like explore the senses of hearing. And a lot of people don't actually, I know this one is true. A lot of people don't think about actually the inner ear chakra. There are actually 8 main ones, and the inner ear chakra is right after the throat chakra and right before the third eye chakra. And it's a really good chakra to get in touch with and get to know, because the inner ear chakra is where things are all about balance and hearing the truth, hearing clarity. And it's also about inner knowing. It fits to, just like all these chakras do, it fits together with both the throat chakra and the third eye chakra. That's very important to know. In any case, so his mama says, that one was for free. I wasn't expecting to come on and share that with you, but that message is for you. The mission, should you choose to accept it, at least that mission, is to explore your inner ear chakra and your hearing and what you are hearing, not just your, like when you get up in the morning, do you hear the birds chirping, and do you hear the song that the sunrise hums very quietly with the wind and the clouds and whatever else is going on? Or do you just hear the neighbor's dog barking or somebody pulling out of their driveway, or I mean, sure, you might enjoy hearing the coffee pot in the morning. I don't know, like, but what do you wake up to? You know? What kinds of sounds do you wake up to? I think I might just do a whole different thing after this that's all about that. So if you come onto this one and you like that first part that you heard, come check out the next video after this one. For right now, I'm going to get to the message. It's not a very long message, but the message is quite simply for those of you, whether you're divine feminine or divine masculine, because I'm getting a strong sense that as one does, so does the other. But regardless, if you are standing in your power and I'm not talking about, I love all of you, but I'm not talking about anyone who's like, fuck him, yeah, he's stuck, and or screw her, she's just doing her, she's just over there doing natty daddy da. Like, I'm not talking about resentfully resentfully stabbing your sword in the stone and being like, let's see you try to pull that out now. No, I mean those of you that can look at any situation that your twin has got themselves entangled in for a while, any situation that you've been entangled in a while, because remember, we always reflect, and even really any situation that you can look at that anyone else is entangled in, and you can love each person in each element, even your not so favorite characters in said stories. But you can look at them and say, you know what? I genuinely have empathy for the spaces and places and things going on. I may not agree with it. My core values, my honor, my integrity, all this stuff may not quite fit with their interactions, but that does not mean that you need to villainize them or see them as victims or broken or any of that stuff. You can simply lay your sword down. Almost, in fact, don't lay your sword down. Like, almost want to say, talk to your own inner lady of the lake and say, here, will you hold on to Excalibur for me? There's likely to be a DM or a DF who will be on their way at some point, and there may be several who try to trick you into thinking that it is them, but only my true DF will come and be able to get this sword from you. If you use your very famous Lady of the Lake test, which I also love. They put it in Never Ending Story in their own different ways, and many stories bring it up in many different ways. I did a good rendition of it in the Merlin series too. But the Lady of the Lake test is where you have to fight yourself. You have to go in and fight yourself. A golem of you that knows all of your best moves and all of your sharpest wit and your best defense systems and all those things. And only those who can face themselves and really love themselves can actually get the sword, right? And remember, though, I mean, if you're going to put somebody else through it, you get what you give. So that means that if you want your sword back, you're going to have to go back and fight yourself too. So make sure you're in a place where you really love who you are and you're ready for some sort of wonderful adventure. And you're setting your swords down in a sense of okay, I understand. There is a season before me where the things that I want are marinating and I have some time to play and the stuff that I want, I feel that I already have it. It's just, there's some other elements involved, so I'm going to set them down. And I'm going to stand in my power and I'm going to go have fun because that's what I would do if I had everything I wanted anyways. Like for those of you that are there, or almost there, or soon to be there, or you've already been here for a while. For those of you who are doing that, your twins are also learning to stand in their power. Now, depending on which side of the story that you're on, if your twins been in third party situations, first of all, you need to know that the true karmics is not any people that are involved with. If they're with any sort of unsavory individuals or anybody that like, brings a visceral response up for you, whether you're triggered or not, um, that's about karmic loops in their heads and in their hearts more than it's about the person. The person is simply a physical manifestation of the quote unquote inner demons that those people are facing, whether you're your twin or not, things like that. And by now, if you've been paying attention to yourself and to your twin to the best degree that you can, you are probably noticing them replaying cycles, or at least they have been. But the message that I am overwhelmingly getting from Spirit is that there's a large group of DMs and DFs who are allowing themselves to rise. They're like standing in their power, but not in a like I'm powerful and I will take everybody out, or I'm powerful and I'll outdo everybody, or I'm powerful, hear me roar. More of a I recognize that I am a powerful being and that I don't do anyone any good service by pretending to be average or mediocre or anything. And not that there's anything wrong with any of those paths, but that I recognize that I have a greater purpose. And I feel humbled and honored to be able to explore that with spirit, with joy, with gratitude, with faithfulness. For those of you that are venturing onto your path, whether you're on the pirate ship, the navy ship, your own ship, or you're walking the plank, whatever, maybe you're a mermaid in the water, or maybe you're Peter Pan, one of the Lost Boys, Wendy and her brothers from this land, so to speak. Whatever role or part you play, if you have said, "Okay, Spirit, I hear you, and I am special and powerful, and I can help provide environments where others can grow in, and I can, when I put my loving focus on them, I know that they will grow, and even just 5 minutes of that for 50 different people could create ripple effects that better the world in ways that I haven't even yet had the opportunity to imagine the cooperative components to. And I will accept your offer to go on an adventure, and I will have faith that what I want, who I want, and something close to how I want it, except obviously more amazing and better, even more legendary than I imagined or thought that I could ask for. and you're going on an adventure willingly, not forcefully. You know, I mean, yes, some of you might be in situations where you feel like you're forced to do something, but really, if you're in a place where you're feeling forced to do anything, it might be good to go back and go through some the Path of the Empress, Path of the Emperor series, or this might not be where you're at yet. If you're feeling put upon in any way, you're feeling forced into crappy life situations, you're feeling like people aren't doing what you want or acting in ways that feel right. It's okay that that's where you are, but this might not be this message might not be for you yet. If you're coming to it now and you're in that place, then this is spirit saying, "Hey, this is how you get to the next step." Like Navi from Zelda, "Hey, look over here, hey." In any case, for those of you who do feel called to that part, yes, the karmics are on the run, and it's because twins are standing up, letting themselves stand in their own power, rising up, accepting themselves for who they are, accepting their BS, and saying, I'm tired of my own BS, and saying, I'm gonna do something amazing. Some of you might even be saying, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do or what exactly is gonna happen. I just know it's gonna be fantastic. Which, by the way, you can borrow that and use that anytime you want because I've used that not on a regular basis, but in times when I felt like something was coming, and then in other times when I was like, I want something good to come, and I don't know exactly what I want. And I would say that. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know it's going to be freaking fantastic, right? That's a great mantra to play with. Either way, for those of you that are in said sort of energy, karmics are on the run. Your karmics are on the run. Your karmics may have only been your thoughts. A lot of times, the I want to say the runner chaser dynamic, sort of, but a lot of times there will be a twin that has, let's say, less external struggles. Usually, it's if one of you is more enlightened than the other, or has been for a little while. Oftentimes, it's divine feminine because we have double intuition. But either way, one of you may have been a little more aware of things, a little more aware of how your thoughts and feelings affect things. So you may have been a little more ahead than your twin. So they're going to likewise be in that same sort of space. So if you're in a place where you're like, I'm ready to rise up and be legendary, I'm going to join Wickedly Divine Feminine's Legendary You series, right? If you're feeling like you're in that space, they're much more likely to be in a space where you were when you started this journey consciously, little by little, and they're in that place to where they're like, hey, I deserve to think better about myself, and I deserve to say no to things I don't want to do, even if it's not a big deal to do them, and I only want to say yes when I feel good about doing something I want. And they might be looking around thinking about the ways that people violate their consent. If they're not getting fully informed, enthusiastic consent, people aren't getting it from them. And, they may find that they have likewise been as triggering for others as others have been for them. They may just be at a point in time when they're so sick of being in the same cycles they've been in for so freaking long that they're just now putting their feet down and saying, you know what, damn it, I deserve better. I deserve to have it all. I don't care if some people say I'm too old or not skilled enough or not smart enough or that I signed up for whatever commitments that came along with a million things that I did not sign up for, whatever it is. Like it's starting for them in a different place than for you. So this is part of why the message is that yes, as twin flames stand up, karmics are on the run, both internal like karma to clean up and karmics as in thoughts and addictive behaviors including workaholism, stuff like that, addictive behaviors including negative thinking, which is a very addictive thing. It's one of the most addictive things, and it's most often what leads us to actual 3D addictions. And that can also include addictions to people, to managing, to, let's say, micromanaging, to all sorts of stuff like that. Either way, that stuff is on the run for those, even those who just put their toes in say like end of 2019, early 2020. But those who did cannot go back from there. You don't go back from awakening. You can kind of put it in the back burner a little bit, kind of compartmentalize it a little bit. But once you've hit your first awakening moment, you've had a couple of ego deaths, you don't go back from there. Anybody that you've seen and you know that they emphatically have had at least one awakening and then is acting like they don't understand like the idea of going further or they don't remember that sort of thing, they're bullshitting you. Well, they're bullshitting themselves. Like it doesn't they know. They're not ready to do it. They still got some more ego layers to face and stuff, but they know they can't go you can't go back from there. Either way, that sort of karmic stuff is on its way out. The planets and everything else is lining up to get that going. And there also are like literal 3D karmics. Because some of them soulmates, good, bad, in between. Um, Either way, a lot of them have been part of third party situations that came in and kind of became your twin's first mission. And you will likely have seen a similar reflection on your side of kind of mission. And together, the two of you also worked missions with yourselves, from your own corners. And so, anybody that's on your end in terms of karmics, they're likely on the run. Anybody that may have been painting you as crazy or off the rocker or broken or sick. Anybody that may have been like smiling in your face and then behind your back saying, yeah, I don't know, they're super weird and there's something, I don't know, it's like weird. Or even like going around to other people and trying to like war party build, or dragon hunt or things like that. Anybody that may have been doing that, they're now on the run. Like they're hiding, they're running, they're worried about the things that they have said, and it's not even just you that they've said these things about, so they're a little concerned about who else may be popping up because right now Spirit's kind of doing a what's one of the old movies? Let's say kind of like Night of the Living Dead, like rah, rah, like all the closet skeletons are like raising their hands up and being like, "We're coming for you," like, and I mean that's more the guilty conscience thing, but it does remind me of the song that came up earlier. I can't remember who did it or the name of it. It's funny because I know the song really well, but there's a part in it where it's paranoia, paranoia, everybody's coming to get me, right? Like that's a line that sticks out to me, and that a fair amount of people are in that energy. And if you see anybody acting in a particularly weird way, um, a lot of that could be that paranoia energy, which can kind of sometimes that comes with Pluto retrograde, but I think it's really the Pluto Saturn interactions and then Chiron in there too. It's like this is a moment when karma is a bit on display. I might have to do like a reading tomorrow about that in terms of like wasn't there something on display? I feel like there's a book or something like that. But it almost like it reminds me of what's that big thing they do? The Macy's Day Parade or whatever. The Torchlight Parade is the one out here. They do it in Seattle. But they're really big parades. They'll do for different holidays and stuff like that. It feels kind of like that, like especially from well, yeah, I want to say as far back as early 2019, like January, February 2019, but mostly a little bit later from there, more towards the summer. Like, in fact, so 7/7/2019 was actually a date that came to me today and made me think about it. So let's say from about there. The things that have been done and said, the seeds that have been planted or sown or harvested, things like that, they are now kind of on display like a big parade, big Thanksgiving parade, big holiday parade, big town parade. And the irony is that it's when we look at ourselves. When we look at ourselves and we think about the life that we've lived overall, but especially since, let's say, July 2019, and we think back to all the things that we've good and bad, and if we thought about those as being on parade, and we thought about the things in the parade, the floats and the balloons and the people and all that stuff, and we looked back at it, and it was a combination of the thoughts that we thought and the feelings that we felt and the ways that we thought that we talked about ourselves, we talked about other people, the ways that we treated people when we like the contradictory stuff, like when we did stuff for people we didn't really want to, stuff like that. But then likewise, all the ways that we helped people, all the ways that we spoke kindly of people and of ourselves. Like, if you think about what was going on between July 2019 and now where you're at, and even if you look forward, let's say another 6 months, let's say up to like October, November 2021, what do you see? Do you see a parade behind you that's like got a little bit of everything? It's got like, does it have more fun and adorable stuff in it? Or does it have more scary stuff in it? Does it have like more balloons getting away from the handlers or floats that go steering off the path? Is the music nice? Is everybody getting along? Is the day too hot, too cold, or just right? Like, what kind of parade do you see parading out behind you? I'm also getting this image of a one of the New Year's, I think it's Chinese dragons, the ones that like where they have people dancing under them and there's the tail is like super long, kind of that same sort of like, this is the dragon's tail, which is ironically also an astrological term. Fun fact, if, for those of you that want to look it up, just be aware it's a pretty deep rabbit hole. I still haven't explored the whole thing myself, but it is very informative. Either way, it feels like that's kind of what this energy is the dragon's tail, right? And for many of you, maybe that you are the dragon and your twin is the dragon, and I don't know, there's just so many beautiful metaphors to all that. Either way, when you look out at what you've done, if you can look at it and feel pretty good about what's there. Sure, it wasn't perfect. Some floats get away, some don't start, maybe you don't maybe the band plays a few songs off key a couple of times, but if otherwise, you can look at the parade up behind you. You can look at the dragon tail up behind you and go, you know what? I like me. And I like the choices I've made. And I like the things that I've done. And I like the people that I've connected with. Whether they stayed or they went. If you can feel pretty good about it. That's the other thing, too, is within this parade is a lot of the big, huge energy that fills it is you get what you give. And that not only includes but highlights the importance on the thoughts that you give and the emotions that you give. And if you've given more kindness, consideration, reassurance, if you've done things in the spirit of unconditional love, most especially for yourself, then that will be the theme of the energy going on. If you didn't, if you did things that were disrespecting to yourself, to others, things that replayed old loops, if you tried to over control things, if you said a bunch of stuff that you want to take back now, stuff like that, if it looked like your path is full of all of that, well, then you're looking kind of similarly to what a lot of the twins who've been in third party situations are looking at. And you're also looking at similar to what a lot of the karmics, the third party themselves, if they have been the kind of karmics that like knew what they were doing. A lot of them know the connection that you have with your twin. A lot of them A lot of them held on because they saw the connection. A lot of them were perfectly fine with your twin completely disrespecting themselves and doing whatever the fuck they want, as long as they didn't connect with you. Because they knew that the minute that they really connected with you, they were going to glow up too. And then whatever resources that they were getting from your twin, they were going to lose. And you likewise probably were in your own third party situations, even if you were not dating or being romantic with anybody. It may have been with family or friends or work or like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be people. It could have been mindsets and things like that. But right now, we've got this really big and kind of beautiful, it's kind of weird, but kind of beautiful energy of the badge of shame, mark of the wanderer, right? And what that is, and Spirit's telling me right now, what that is that it's that parade. It's that parade. Especially, we kind of should cultivate a bigger space of gratitude for like quarantine and stuff like that because what that did was slowed everybody down and it severely limited access to most of our comfort zone stuff, our ability to escape who we were living with, who we were interacting the most with, how we were spending our time. Some people came out of quarantine with more beautiful bodies and mindsets, and they're happier, and they're like, woohoo, now I'm ready to embrace life. And other people went into quarantine and came out a little more overweight. And I'm not judging any of it, but I'm saying like for themselves, like they're noticing their bodies are out of balance. They may have gained some injuries along the way that haven't fully healed. They may have some ego energies that have not very healed. And right now, I'm seeing three things. I'm seeing those who have happy parades and who are like ready for the next adventure, that pirate ship, navy ship, solo ship kind of thing, or even to like voluntarily jump off the plank and become a mermaid. And I'm seeing those that are looking at their dragon's tail, their parade, and they're feeling shameful for what is there, which is on the way to humility, which is good, right? And then I'm seeing those. Hey Rachel, I'm seeing the third timeline, which is more not like karmics who are kind of stuck in some loops and stuff of varying different levels, but a lot of them, they don't want to look at their own parade. If they were sitting in a house or an apartment and the parade came on, they would turn it off and be like, I don't even want to watch it. I don't care about it. I have no thoughts about it. That was there's nothing to look at here. And then others are like they're standing there watching their parade and they were really hoping that it was going to be like a big fantastic parade, but the balloons are floating off and the the marching bands are like, no, you don't treat us very nicely, so we're not going to play for you, we're going to sit over here. And like, there's all sorts of things just going haywire, and it's becoming kind of that badge of shame thing. And for those of you that do feel like you fit the description that I put in the middle, you really resonate with this so far. The Karmics that are looking at their parades, they're looking at their parades, they're looking at your twins' parade, and they're looking at your parade. And what I'm seeing is like them looking at their parade going like, okay, well like I have all the elements. Why isn't anything going right? Why does nothing ever go right for me? And they're looking over at your twins parade and they're actually thinking that your twins got a whole lot more than they do, even though your twins sitting there feeling ashamed of what they've got. I mean, their floats may not be riding away. They might have their marching band there, but it's kind of this like the band's a little out of tune and the balloons are things they didn't really want people to see because they didn't want to believe themselves that they were doing icky things like that. And so like yeah, their parade may be going on more consistently, but it's not really a parade of things that they want other people to see because they don't want to see them. And but they're trying to. Actually, I feel like a lot of those twins that are in that place are feeling a lot more of the humility. They're in a place where they're recognizing because they raced right along with the karmics. It's kind of like it's funny if you put like a what is it, the tortoise and the hare thing, and like the twins karmics were the hare. They're trying to race their way there, and you were the tortoise, the beautiful tortoise that was like, I'm just going to go along on my way. And as they got more and more arrogant, you just kept going one step, small steps are still steps, and you got there. And they're looking at it going, how did you manage to get all that you got, the recognition, the friends, the health, the whatever? How did you get all of the breaks when you were going slow, when you didn't jump in with somebody new in the ways that we did, when you didn't lie or cheat or steal, when you weren't just letting your weird light shine? And they're like, how did this person even manage to do this? Now, the karmics are often in a place of victimhood, so they're not they don't see specialness in much of anything yet. Some of them will eventually, some of them might not. Either way, love them all, but they're not really looking at that. Your twin, your twin recognizes partially. They recognize part of it is you're actually not doing anything all that like extraordinary. Like anybody who's succeeding follows pretty much close to the same recipe, especially these days with law of attraction stuff. It's really not rocket science. It's not even force of will. Like it's, are you willing to face yourself and get out of your own way so that you can allow things in? Because most of the time, most people don't have a problem manifesting the scenarios and the resources that they want. The problem is that then they resist or they push them away, right? So your twin knows that you have been learning this, and that part of why you are where you are is because you've been practicing what you preach. And the other part is that they do know that you are an individual who genuinely is different than all the rest that they have known, and it is partly your specialness that has gotten you where they are. Now, they know that they can also follow the not rocket science methods to get where you went. In fact, they manifested their parades putting into practice what you told them, what they've been watching you do, what they've been learning about when they've not been talking to you. And the problem is they still got a parade that wasn't exactly what they wanted it to be. And really, it's mostly simply that they did not their they did not go back and heal certain things. They kind of swept them under the rug, and the problem with that is that when you lift up the rug, it's still there, and when you walk over the rug, it's still there. And like as anybody who gets into mastering manifestation knows that you got to go and look at that stuff and figure out want it, keep it, what caused it, where'd it go, all that stuff so that you can get it out of your way. You can't just keep throwing more under there like nope, don't want that, putting that under the rug, putting that under the rug, putting that under the rug, because then you get a messy parade. But like they know that they could do the first part. The problem is that like they attracted karmics who were in victim space and power struggle space and things like that because that's what the twins were caught in. That's what your twin's been caught in is self-doubt and needing heroes and villains and victims and feeling like some combination of all three and stuff like that. And they want to believe that they have a certain specialness, certain joie de vivre, like you do, but they're still having some challenges seeing it. Now, in this particular message, they're starting to see it in a way that will stay. They're starting to see themselves in much more similar to the way that you have seen them. And they're recalling all the times that you tried to call them into honor, integrity, loyalty, truth, kindness, empathy, all of these things, when you tried to help them find their own way to the light. And they see you and they see what you're doing, and they wonder if somebody like you could really see somebody like them as so valuable to not only have invested so much of yourself into trying to help them, and then on top of that, to have to have still managed to have carried yourself to the finish line with not just all that they have, but more than they have. Like they're in a place where they're starting to recognize maybe there's a reason for that. I mean, duh, there is a reason for that. We don't pick people lightly. We don't recognize our twins just in anybody. Like, as many of you who may have actually jumped out into the full on dating world or gotten in your own karmics, and you may have thought, maybe I was mistaken. Maybe this is my DM or DF, and you know the difference. You know. And so the karmics are looking at your twins parade. And they're sitting there that it don't matter if for your twin everything that's on display is like shameful and embarrassing. They're going, yeah, but your balloons are floating away and your marching band isn't on strike and you only had 5 or 6 mishaps, and then they're looking over at you in your parade. And you could even have, like, they might even try to instigate a couple of mishaps in your parade, but they're looking over at you and they're looking at the crowd around your parade, and everybody's having a good time. Even if the marching band messes up a little bit, it's okay. They get back onto and everybody feels good. They like who's the inspiration, the boss of the parade, and everybody helps everybody. And even like the karmics can look at you and they know emphatically that even if your whole parade went to crap, even if your parade was replaced with their parade, even if you got your twins like shameful parade, you'd still be happy. You'd still be beloved. You'd still be the badass you that you are. And for them, that makes you very legendary. And it's like if you're feeling called to this, you are on a level where you're what's the word? Unfuckwithable. It's actually Abraham says that. You're unbothered. You cannot be shaken from where you are at. And I mean, obviously, you're probably going to be the first one to know right now that they've tried everything that they can think of to shake you. And if you've stood in your light and you've stood in unconditional love, and you've also learned to stand with self respect, even for those that you completely love, even without logic, you've learned to hold good boundaries, you've learned to face your shadows, you've been owning your own BS. Because trust me, that never fully goes away. Like it's there continually, but you own it, and you've been hmm, mostly minding your own business. And the results are showing. You're looking at your parade out there, and the karmics are they're realizing like a lot of them may not have known about twin flame journey stuff, or even like they may know about like term soulmate, and they probably got your twin in on that very sort of thing. They may a lot of them I'm noticing a lot more people in groups even noticing that yes, your karmics do tend to copy you. It's for two reasons. One, because you can't knock a good idea no matter where it comes from. And two, a lot of them they found themselves out of their element with your twin. Like they were easily able to control and manipulate almost anybody else, but your twin is your twin for a reason. And they thought that they could manipulate them far easier than they could even without you there. And here's the thing, even if you were not there, your twin would still resist. Your twin would still be coming to this place where they are. That's why many of you, you've been on this journey for years and years and years. You may not have heard anything directly or very, very little from your twin, and they're still in this place, and you should be able to feel it in the shift and see it in your own actions, right? Now, the karmics that are looking at this, they're recognizing that if they continue on this path, they're going to continue having shitty parades that don't go the way that they want them to go, because spirit lined those karmics up with your twin who is connected to you as their twin for a reason. But that's something that a lot of people have not thought about. Have you thought about that? That the connection between all of you could have a much greater purpose than just this majoring in minor BS about relationships and third parties and drama, right? Now, those karmics are recognizing that even if they could somehow manage to fully disconnect you from your twin in always 3, 4, and 5D, that your twin would still effectively be yours. It's not that I mean, even if they got them to stop thinking about them all the time, they've been changed by being in connection with you because it's a connection with themselves and with spirit. And they're looking back even at their twins parade and seeing how much of you is in it, how much of it exists there because of you. And they're also recognizing that even if you so graciously stepped entirely out of the way, even if you moved on and got with somebody else and lived happily ever after, that would actually ruin their position a whole lot more because your twin would never, ever, ever be able to be happy with them while watching you move on and be happy with somebody else. Even if they fought that and they didn't come to you, there'd be fights every day in their situationships because that would be not facing it. But thankfully, these particular karmics are seeing the writing on the wall. And it's funny, I've been hearing that song, was it Bricks in the Wall? Pink Floyd a lot. Oh no, it's just another brick in the wall. Right? You know? And you can't have your cookie if you don't eat your meat, right? And they're recognizing that at this point, it's not just you. It's actually spirit, and it's their own guides. Their own guides are coming in going, hey, like this is not going to turn out well for you. Don't you see the writing on the wall? You know? And yeah, cool, Rachel, yeah. Um, but they're and they might not be fully in connection with their guides. Some of them may think they're ghosts, or others may think it's just like a voice in the head or something like that, or they may be getting this information from their friends or family. Like either way, there is an incredibly huge legendary shift going on in the ethers right now, and they sense it. Now, for some of you, I'm going to say there's a timeline where this is happening like right now as I'm doing this video. You may check the date and time. And like they're already on the run. Like they packed up their stuff and either they're gone or they're in the process of creating whatever weird fights or situations. Others are trying to squeeze every last bit of what they can get out of your twin flame before they, pack up their stuff and get going, or kick the twin out, or do whatever thing that they feel like they need to do to be able to get out of that situation before shit hits fan. Unfortunately for a lot of them, you can't, you can outrun a DF or a DM, but you can't outrun Saturn. You can't outrun Pluto. Um, and a lot of these karmics have unfortunately not made a lot of friends in what they've done, and especially if they've been involved with a twin, as oftentimes those are far reaching relationships and consequences. And a lot of these karmics have lined up with twins, and the twins, in their effort to try to hold on to what they felt was an honorable thing to do, stayed with them, listened to them, tried their best to get through it. And a lot of these twins were very well liked before they got with these karmics, and they're not now. And they've got a lot of friends and family who have drawn the line in the sand and said, I cannot make you come over here with me and do better, but I will not go with you where you are going, and I will not encourage it or support it or pretend to be okay with it. And a lot of these DMs have lost, or well, DMs, the twins have lost reputation and close connections, and they've fallen out with their passion projects and hobbies, and they are now looking at their lives going, what the heck did I do? Who did I choose? This was not what I signed up for at all. And now look at all that I've made it through. And these twins are seeing that their karmics are getting ready to run. And if they're not seeing it, they're feeling it. And they're feeling it in constant anxiety, much of which isn't their own. They're having trouble sleeping. They're having trouble getting up and going out in time. A lot of them are in a very depressed state. But depression usually is depression and anger. It's kind of a figure eight thing. And they're tired of that. A lot of them have been stuck in those feelings, especially as we've been in quarantine. And the funny thing is like a lot of people fear depression, but a lot of times depression actually leads us to change our lives. Sometimes not so much for the better, but usually for the better. And in this case, the twins that are leaving karmic situations are choosing better for themselves. And they're some of them, some of them are just, within the past week or within up to the next week have already either found out that their karmics were, uh, only using them for money, or we're settling, or we're doing, we're stealing from them, giving to others. Some of them finding out that they were cheating, or just general shit talking, things like that, intentionally holding them back, intentionally trying to ruin other I was going to say commitments, but other connections so that they could have more power and control, things like that. Some of these karmics are in a state to where they're they're so arrogant and they're so done with it that they're like, I never asked you to do none of this shit for me. I never asked you to do this a little bit. I never asked you to do this stuff. What are you doing for? And it's like crushing those twins. Like a lot of these twins did a lot of stuff for their karmics, thinking that they were just being unconditionally loving by accepting all the bullshit. And now they're being faced with that like direct hit of like, no, like this person absolutely took you. And for many of these twins, they were warned multiple times, probably by you, by family, by all the people that have drawn the line in the sand, and they're tired of it. They're absolutely tired of it, and they can see the writing on the wall too. That if they stay in this situation, no matter how much the karmics pretend to be nice and happy and all that stuff, no matter how much they try to force themselves to continue being unconditionally loving and all that, it's going to get worse. And Spirit's basically looking at them and being like, well, I mean, you got free will. I'm not going to force you to do this or to do that. It's up to you. What do you choose? What is the next chapter of your life going to look like? And most of these twins are saying, the next chapter of my life is going to look like peace of mind and heart. And I'm not going to overgive to people anymore. I'm not going to undergive to other people who have been giving to me, who have been there for me, who have been trying to tell me. And they're looking at the karmics, no matter how good a bullshitter those karmics may have been, no matter how sweetly they have talked, they can see their parade. They can see the parade that's out behind those karmics. They can see the parade that's out behind them. And I mean, that includes karmics also who may have been using mental health or physical challenges or life circumstances to make themselves out to be a big victim and be like, well, but I have anxiety, or I have this problem or that problem, and effectively saying, so that gives me a right to be an asshole to you and not to have to fix it or be accountable to it, which is absolutely wrong. Though they're seeing that no matter what the situation is, they're never going to be able to make of it what their hearts really want it to be. And no matter how much money they may have amassed, no matter how many 3D items and things like that, they're recognizing they're not satisfied with that. It's not fun. It's not helping their reputation. It's not helping their bottom line. And most of all, their spirit does not feel fed. Their soul does not feel fed on what they are in. And they want more than that. I'm hearing the Little Mermaid song, I want more. I want to be where the people are, right? Legs are for walking, singing, dancing, strolling around on those, what you call 'em, streets. Oh. Um, but they're, they're in that energy of like, you know what? It's not even that my situation has to be extremely terrible, but it's making me more unhappy than it's making me happy, and I don't want to stay in it anymore. I've done enough of that for my life. I'd rather be alone if I'm going to be unhappy than be with somebody and be unhappy. I'd rather, if I'm going to feel alone and uncared for and unloved, I'd rather be alone. Which is where a lot of you listening to this got to before you got to where you are now. Anyways, so yes, first timeline, things happening more immediately. They may have just happened or maybe just about to happen. Karmics are on the run. They're making their exit strategies, doing their exit fights. They're driving around. They're talking to who they need to talk to create another kind of catastrophe so that they can be saved by somebody else, or they're trying to get ready to fight for resources in some sort of War Roses style thing, or they're trying to cover their tracks. Some of them may be throwing twins, the twin that was with them under the bus about a bunch of different things so that they can kind of look like the hero or the victim or the maligned or whatever you want to talk about it. Um, and the stuff is happening like right now as we speak. For others of you, wow, okay, there's another timeline. This may have already happened months ago, and it's just been the exit drama that's been going on, and you might actually find out a little more about that more around now. And for others of you, this is something that is like the seed has been planted, so to speak. Like it's not that the bags are being packed just yet, but it's kind of that song, that paranoia, paranoia, everybody's coming to get me, right? Like that's starting to build in there. And the twins that are with them are starting to be home a little less often. They're working a lot later, but they're not overworking in the way of like bad self-care, but they're using their work as a way to be like not home. And they're going for longer drives. They're where some of them in the past, like their karmics may have constantly been giving them chores and things like that, like here, go run this over there and go buy this thing, and then the next week and go return it, or I need you to run my kids around and do this and this and this and that. And these twins are now going, oh well, you needed me to do this and you needed me to do that, and I need to go do this and I need to go pick up this person or do that thing. And they're looking for more ways to be away from whatever domicile that they have been residing in with said karmics, because they also feel a shift and they feel the difference. They feel themselves being pulled towards light and joy and gratitude and goodness, and they're recognizing that whenever they are within proximity of the karmic or even like texting or calling with them, they automatically feel their energy drop. And they're noticing that is what's making their parade icky and messy and has earned them all the badges of shame that they've got. Well, you're likely walking around with plenty of badges of honor. And they're looking back at what they've done, who they've aligned with. I had a message that came in earlier, within the last few days, that actually came up in the beginning of 2020, which was, who would you want to be your zombie apocalypse team? And effectively, while we went through quarantine, I mean, you saw who your team was. You know, did you make it out on the other side, not just surviving but thriving, or did you barely, make it past it? Did you have to like cut off some toes in order to survive a few places, or did you lose a lot of people on the way, kind of thing? Like that'll tell you how effective your zombie team was. But a lot of these twins that have been with karmics are looking at that going, well, I see the choices that I made. And a lot of them were mostly over focused on money and material things. So they may have amassed a lot of material things, but how did they go about it? Did they go about it stepping on people along the way? Did they lie about a lot of things? Did they cover up a lot of things, whether they chose to do it or they were told to do it and chose to listen? Whatever thing it is. Like, did they live their life since, July 2019 in a way of integrity? Or did they shirk responsibility and accountability and stuff like that and give their loyalties to people who really didn't deserve it and disrespect themselves a lot? If they did, they're looking at their situation and they're looking at your situation and they're going, like, I mean, you may have hobbled along the way. A lot of these twins have watched you go from complete panic about how are you going to be able to pay the bills and what are you going to do with the kids and how am I going to survive and how am I gonna live without you? Right? Like, going through all that to a place to where now you're standing or sitting or laying down or hanging upside down like the hangman, or you're like, you got a sash like the world card and you're just like, oh, like either way, to them, they're looking at you saying, you have so much. And they're looking at how you did it. And they're looking at how you didn't step on a bunch of people along the way. And maybe not everybody's totally happy with the steps that you made, but you you were kind, and yeah, maybe you had your strong masculine moments, but you softened yourself and you raised your standards while they were lowering theirs. And you stood in the light and you told the truth, even if it pissed them off, even if it got them in trouble, even if it got you in trouble or pissed other people off. They're looking at the choices that you made. And for a lot of you, they had more, they started with more than you had in some sort of sense, like resources or social situations or things like that. And for a fair amount of you, you may have noticed, or you may be able to notice now, that you can look back and you actually have all the things that they had that they took for granted. And for a lot of you, especially if there was money involved in it, secret money, or they didn't give you, like, say, you share children with you and they didn't pay you child support when they could have, or they owe you debts or things like that, a lot of you are going, if you haven't already, you're going to find that your bank account starts increasing in ways that you didn't expect it to. That doesn't come directly from them, but you'll notice their bank accounts decreasing, getting frozen up, getting wrapped up in weird scams and stuff like that, because they weren't grateful for what they had. And they put their focus into things that were not sustainable, and they listened to people who did not have their greatest good in mind, while they treated those who did like they were the enemy. And that is what moments like this are for, to help them see. It's the same thing that's supposed to be there for the karmics, is simply to look back and say, do you like what you see? If you don't like what you see, how would you like to change? What sort of experience would you like to have? But for those that look at their parades and can't be happy, couldn't be happy about it even if they had your parade, well, they're choosing to go back through because that's what they believe is true. That people hurt you, that they never get a good break, that they're just unlucky, that life's been horrible to them, that's they're in that loop. They're in this weird sort of way enjoying that experience. There's enough rewards to it for them to be a victim, so they stay. And they're looking at it like it's not like, I mean, they have every opportunity that they could turn it around too. They could actually make things work with your twin if they were able to really fully turn things around, but they don't want to. That's part of why they got lined up the way that they were. And as they move into the next few things, they'll probably start to change and grow and get onto more of a divine path in their own way. But for right now, it's not meant to be like that, because they're not meant to stay with your twin. They were meant to come in and help certain lessons be learned and various chapters be written, and people to grow in the contrast of the light that they're of the shadow that they provided, right? And the twins are starting to see that. And so, for those of you that don't have this stuff like happening right now, then over the next couple of months, especially over the summer, and most especially if you are enjoying your hot girl, hot guy, hot mama, hot papa summer vibes, and you're allowing yourself to glow up and rise up faithfully, knowing that things will work out just the way that well, even better than you imagine. And others of you might be a little bit more towards the fall, October, November, maybe December time. And some of you may be a little bit further than that, like January, February 2022, maybe a little bit further. Either way, and the seasons will be different depending on what your cycles are and what it is that you're learning and things like that. But either way, karmics are on the run. And a lot of it, it's because of those of you who are listening right now. You felt the call. You felt the shift. You listened to Spirit when Spirit said rest. You listened to Spirit when Spirit said release. Release control. Release this person. Release that person. Keep faith in this person, but release them anyways. Don't disparage this person, but they don't need the focus of your faith. Or, change jobs, move, talk to this person. You listened. You listened. You embraced the absurd, and you were like, let's do this, right? And so now is a time where you can get a message like this, and then you can also heed what I say, which is, don't turn around. What is that song? Don't turn around. Uh-oh, right? Don't turn around. and you don't need to. I think another piece of the never-ending story thing. I think they had told him that like keep faced this direction and don't turn around. Like, don't look behind you, whatever you do, right? Um, I think it might have also been in Lord of the Rings. There's a couple of movies on it when they say, do not turn around. Keep moving forward. And keep moving forward with joy and gratitude and faith and love in your heart. What you feel for your person is not unreal. It's not crazy. Feel it. Let yourself feel it. And then move forward with your goals the way you'd want to be. Because for one, your self respect makes you so freaking attractive. For two, whatever it is that you might get yourself into is going to be amazing. It's going to be legendary. And the you being able to stand up and do it is going to call to your twin. It's going to pull towards your twin. They're going to come towards you. And a lot of them are going to start reaching out to you. They might even try some older tactics. And some of the karmics who are not quite ready to run just yet may try a few other things, including trying to get your twins to get you maybe involved with them in some sort of way, in a business way, a financial way, a real estate way, investment way, family way, some sort of thing like that. Others of you, your twins, may simply be so desperate to reach out to you and so afraid to screw things up that they do it in a screwy way. And it's your job to simply decide, do you want to interact with them knowing where they are at right now, or do you want to simply send them, positive prayers, maybe a uplifting meme of some kind, and go on about your business? Others of you, they may clumsily make an effort, a big effort, especially a lot of you know your twins that even any sort of anything close to an apology is a big thing, but they may actually try to go for, in fact, not even may, they will. They will go for genuine apologies, proper apologies, and some of them may even get into such grand gestures that you're almost like, who are you? And are you trying to fool me? Some of them may get into such grand gestures when they're really ready to join you on the journey, like not just to like they're no longer looking at you as like they're not looking at union or marriage or relationships or you in the way that they used to before. They're looking at it as an adventure that they never recognized before. They're looking you have helped them see that. You're also helping them see that they would have seen it that way anyways. That they did see it that way anyways. A lot of them talked about that with you. They felt this unexplainable urge to share their deepest dreams and fantasies with you and shared that with you. They never would have shared with anybody else. They still would have chosen that. They still would have chosen a divine path even if they had not met you and not been influenced by you. And they're finally starting to see that. Yes, you did influence them, but they would have chosen that path anyways. And that means that they are as good as you are when they stop allowing other people to dictate how they will think, how they will talk, what they will do, where they will spend their money, how they'll spend their money, who they'll associate with, etc., etc. And that doesn't necessarily mean they have somebody that's like literally controlling them that way. Some of them do, but some of them it's more that they're over controlling themselves based on what they fear that people think or will do or will think, kind of thing. Either way, your job is not to turn around, not to go back the way that you came. You don't have to run into the next adventure. In fact, it's very much encouraged that you enjoy a leisurely pace. Though you can run if you want to. Not in a runner chaser way, but if you're just like, I'm so excited for this thing I got in front of me, like, yeah, do it. Even if you fall flat on your face, do it. Like, really do it, you know? In any case, it's already been over an hour, and I did not intend for this to be this long, but I hope those of you who have been listening and who will listen later will very much love this message and get much from it. And if you really feel it in you, because you will know when the time is right, you will feel inner peace. You will feel peace of mind and peace of heart when this message is for you. That does not, and it'd be nice if I could give you a specific date on what your feeling means. I cannot do that, at least not yet. I don't know if I might be gifted with that superpower at a later time, but right now I don't have it. All I can tell you is that, yes, that feeling is real. And you're going to continue to feel that moment and be more conscious of the moments that you feel, that peace of mind and peace of heart, that harmony and union between you and you. And the more that you feel that, the more your twin is also feeling the same thing. And the more that spirit will show you, well, through them and through other means. So as you start to see the signs, symptoms, and syncs of karmics on the run, both karmic thoughts and karmic cycles and karmic behaviors and karmic people, make sure that you stay humble and gratitude. There was a hashtag that was kind of born out of being a person chatting in Mavericks chats, which was "Thank you, Karmics." And her and I have been there's been a couple others that I've heard that talk about really being grateful for karmics, but a lot of it's kind of that tongue in cheek sort of, yeah, be grateful for them karmics. No, really, really. Like, genuinely, be grateful for your karmics. Their 5D selves know what's going on, and they know that even though they're, in 3D, they're dragging people down, they're doing that to get people to get to such a low point that they decide to choose themselves. And that's a really incredible gift. You don't even know. Like, a lot of people go through their lives living, I mean, it's fine. Like, they live mediocre lives doing, kind of matrixy stuff. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. They never get uncomfortable enough to change anything. They never put themselves in any sort of uncomfortable enough situation to change anything. And they don't run into anybody that says or does anything that suggests that they should change. And that's fine. But if you think about it, especially if you had a super stubborn or petulant or bratty twin, arrogant, egotistic, stuff like that. For one thing, you had all of those traits at one point in time too, and you probably healed yourself out of them while they were with their karmic. So be grateful for that and that reflection and that ability to go, I choose not to do what the karmic's doing. And that karmic, their 5D self, it kind of did that for you. The universe is doing things for you. Did it for you. They did it for your twin. They did it for all the people that you're going to talk to and help as your journey continues on. Both, solo chapters of you and union chapters of you and your twin. Really, genuinely be grateful for them. And also, in a more like 3D sense, only hurt people. Only people who really believe that they've genuinely been so victimized by the universe that they were just born to be victimized really become these people. And really, how can you be mad at somebody that hates themselves so much as that? And especially because I know that we've all been in places where we did not love ourselves even when we had so many things to love about ourselves. We've been there. And to me, that's really kind of the biggest thing that kind of sticks out in terms of, are you karmic or are you divine femme, divine masculine? And to be honest, as the more I've gone, the more I've seen, I think we all play all roles. Like, at some points, we are the karmic. We're acting in karmic ways because we're acting, purely out of ego, or we're, trying to do what we think that everybody else says is right instead of listening to our hearts, or, or things like that. Like, we all play all roles, just like, masculine and feminine are energies. Whenever you're taking action or resisting things, you're in masculine energy. Whenever you're open to things and you're flowing with things and you're receptive with things and you're planting things, that's feminine, right? So we play all roles. That being said, I think that when you kind of get into the colloquial term, the difference between like DMDF and somebody who plays kind of a more consistent karmic role is that, like, I mean, for example, if a karmic was to interact with another karmic, they would look at how can they outdo each other? How can they have more power or control than the other? How can they be number one? How can they create a more permanent hold? How can they be more dramatic or at least appear to be taking the better road, and they don't generally hold feelings of gratitude for the other party or any of the other parties. They're generally very unappreciative because they don't appreciate themselves. Whereas somebody who is really getting on to a divine path, part of getting on to a divine path is cultivating gratitude. And that includes gratitude. I've been fortunate enough to be able to participate in a lot of various different spiritual events and ceremonies and things like that. And one of my favorite things that I learned from an indigenous elder was that you pray for your enemies. In fact, multiple of them. You pray for your enemies too. And I don't like to use the word enemy, but that's kind of in the context in there, and I get it. Like those who are against you, not the people that you are against. They're the people that are out of alignment with you, that you're like, I'm not going to go that way with you. But people who tend to be against you because you do stand in the light, people that, they sabotage you with their thoughts and things like that, or maybe even literally try to sabotage you, you pray well for them. You don't necessarily sit there and pray, oh, they get better, and I hope that they get their karma, and da 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 da. No, you pray well for them. You pray that they get the healing that they need because they obviously need it a lot more than most people do. And you are a powerful manifester and a powerful powerhouse of prayers. And I guarantee you, if you're at this point in this message and you feel good about this, you feel like things fit, even if you know it's not time yet, but they fit, then you got to recognize too that how you imagine things to be going on with your twin and their karmic is manifesting it that way. So if you see that your twin is with a karmic who's like say criminal or not good or aggressive or manipulative or things like that, guess what? You're holding that into place. You're giving them more power by seeing them that way. Whereas if you imagine that they are healing too, and that maybe it is that spirit pulled away your twin to be with them, so your twin could be humbled and learn their stuff, but maybe it's also because your twin being your twin, especially if you believe in your own power, that only your twin could have been the one to have helped them come up from where they were, and at least not be as toxic as they were. To maybe they can believe in themselves enough to be like, I don't want this shit that you're doing. Maybe they've got some more self-respect. Start imagining them as healing too. And then recognize that they on the run soon. They're on the run now, honey, or they on the way soon. All you gotta do, you really, you don't even gotta watch the clock. Let the clock go. Don't worry about where the phone is. Don't worry about when or where you get a message or what sort of communication is coming in. Trust me, Spirit's going to help you show up, show out, glow up, and show off what a radiant light you are. That there is no possible way that anybody can not see you and want to be a part of it or want to run like buck from it because they know that their parade is not something they want to look at right now. And more importantly, your twin's going to be so humbled and so happy that you didn't wait for them, even though they probably went through and or are going to go through some dark nights about feeling abandoned by you, even though you have not done any such thing. They're going to get to the point where they're proud of you, especially because a lot of you may have held yourselves back for a very long time, waiting for them to catch up, observing that they weren't, reaffirming the manifestation that they were stuck, or they were lying, or they were doing this, or they were doing that. You contributed to that too. So now, as you move forward and you enjoy being on the what is it from Heart of Dixie, the mayor's float and all that, and getting to be shown off and stuff like that, and you enjoy getting into the flow of divine timing, and you're glowing up and having beautiful side of phoenix moments and butterfly moments and stuff like that. Think well of your twin. Imagine them not just watching you, as they already did a video about that, but them seeing themselves through your eyes in a positive way. And think about it. Like, I mean, if you're really aligned with this video, you already think positively a lot about them. You have positive 5D connections with them. You have probably released a fair amount of connections with people that were telling you to let it go or to give up or to assume that things were broken. You may have given up movies or books or things that had you along that line of thinking, or anything that told you that you were not capable of doing more, or that you were not believable, or that you were weird, or anything like that. So, as you ask Spirit to show you what the next step is, not what all the steps are, just what the next step is, go into it with complete faith that your twin is watching, they're learning, and they are going to catch up to you much faster than you expect, especially when you start really having fun. And fun just for you. I'm not talking about going out and like getting shit faced and dancing all over the bar and doing all sorts of crazy, like, have fun stuff. I mean, like, when you're really playing with the universe, when you're embracing your own absurdities, when you're glowing up and being recognized for it, as your fame increases, as your bank account increases, as the love around you increases. I mean, they couldn't miss it even if it wasn't everywhere, but I'm talking like Spirit plans to, make sure that they see your face in every billboard. They're planning to make sure that they hear about you through people they never expected, and they're going to be proud of you, and they're going to look at their own situation, and they're going to recognize you're the love of their life, and that they want nothing more than to feel like they want to feel the same kind of self love, unconditional self love that you feel, because they know that's how you did it. They know that that's what you tried to teach them, that they probably fought because they were told that it was some sort of weird enlightenment culty view, hippie witchy thing or some shit like that. But they know it's real. And you are the proof. And so it's for those of you that are on this place on your journey that you know that this message is resonating for you. The karmics are on the run. I feel like it's that song, Man on the Run, which also I feel like a fair amount of the twins in third party situations as consistently are typically DMs, at least in romantic third party situations. And they are on the run too, but not in the way that they were before. As many readers have pointed out, we may have thought of them as the runners, but actually it was us who was the runners all the whole time, because we set the standard. And now it really is, it really seems much more like that, except for the funny thing is, when you choose yourself and you choose to allow Spirit to be the wind beneath your wings, so to speak, you're not running or chasing. And so your twin stops running and chasing, and they stop doing they stop doing the same dynamics with third parties and with things that they need to face and be responsible for. And it, in a way, is almost like you're standing still and yet moving forward at the same time, which is an interesting, beautiful feeling. And it shifts all things. And if you're hearing this message and you don't feel like this is quite where things are at for you, then this is your time to recognize, man, woman, uh, other gendered individual, non-binary, whoever, however you identify as, you are powerful as fuck. Like, seriously, you are legendary when you decide to shift and choose you and embrace you and know that no matter where you go, people are going to love you and be helped by you, and that no matter what happens, you're going to end up better at the end of whatever it is that you get into, whoever you meet, wherever you go, whatever you do. Like, that's your next step. Get to that place where you feel good about you, no matter whether you got your twin or not, no matter whether you got a lot of money or not, none of it. And if you're having trouble finding joy or gratitude, send me an email. One of the medicines I feel blessed with is joy medicine. One of the things that I've been working with for a long time that I put extra effort into for this year's gratitude. Please reach out. I do get busy, and sometimes I have my own messiness in terms of getting back to people, but I generally do reach out. And I really enjoy the conversations I get to have with a lot of people in email. I don't charge anything. You're welcome to donate to me, but I don't charge anything. And for any sort of tarot sessions or astrology analyses or coaching or any sort of like twin flame advice or life advice, things like that, I go by donation only at this point. So you can work with me and see how you feel about it. And I'll be just as grateful if you want to like, if you're just like, I really don't have anything, but I really love this, and you just show me the proof of the effort, or you're like, look what I did with this information you give me. I am totally thrilled for that. Like that's the part that I really, really like to see. Like that's worth more to me than any amount of money you could pay me. But if you want to do like a lot of people do, you want to get the information in and kind of process it, but you feel like it was great, you could give me $1, you could give me 50, you could give me 100. I'm going to be just as grateful for whatever amount that you want to give in energetic exchange because I know that it'll give you something. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. But either way, if it's simply getting to a place where you can recognize you already have more than enough, you are surrounded by love, you are surrounded by light, you are surrounded by friendship, you are surrounded by romance. And here's the great thing, it's all within you, too. It's all within you. You have a legendary life behind you and a legendary life in front of you. And it's time to embrace that. Rachel, I'm so glad. And thank you for being my first Patreon. I love that absolutely so, so much. I'm looking forward to when we get more people on the Patreon. I'm kind of waiting a little bit. I'm getting the messages from Spirit of like kind of that Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. So I'm thinking I might start putting stuff on there and then just knowing that people are coming in. Although I'm still kind of, I'm enjoying the space. But either way, you're gonna get you're gonna be the only one who is on there first, and get to see what comes of it. So I'm really excited. I'm really glad that you've joined the adventure. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Wow, 1 hour and 21 minutes. That's probably one of the longest videos that I've done. I love you all so, 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 so much. Please make sure you're loving yourselves. And I'll see you whenever I do another video.